Does cycle syncing actually work, or is it just another trend? You've seen the post.
Lift heavy during ovulation, walk on your period, and make sure you eat more carbs 2 weeks before.
But does the science actually back it up? Well, today, girlie, we're talking periods, we're talking the menstrual cycle and how it can affect your gym performance and nutrition. Because knowing what's really going on with your body is so important and empowering and can stop you freaking out. Like, why am I feeling like this and I can't even lift half the weight I lifted in the gym last week? To being like, oh, I'm in my luteal phase, of course I'm feeling like this. So if this video alone can give you that confidence, I'm happy. I've been diving deep into the scientific studies to try and bring some clarity to us all. Completely forgot to mention, but this is episode 1 of our brand new Strong Girl series, which is all about women's health and empowering you with the tools that you need to tackle your health and fitness as the strong girl you are. So make sure to subscribe, bestie, because I don't want you to miss it. We already know that research has repeatedly shown there are sex differences between males and females, from areas like energy metabolism to sleep patterns to hunger cues to exercise capacity. A recent literature review found something absolutely outrageous: that only 6% of the sports science literature published between 2014 and 2020 included female-only test subjects. 6%. While 31% were male-only studies. And I know it's cheaper and less complicated to study a bunch of college guys, but let's be honest, we've sent people to space before we've properly studied the female body. And although more gender balanced research is slowly happening now, which is great, the reality is most of what we currently know about health and fitness is based on male data or limited female studies. So a lot of you have been DMing me asking if cycle syncing is a better way to approach our training and nutrition as opposed to the way men do it. And we're gonna get into that, but first let's break down the menstrual cycle in a way that actually makes sense. Because let's be real, no one taught us this in school properly. I mean, yeah, maybe you spent an hour going over it, but I don't know about you, but I'm sure it's a lot more relevant to your daily life than algebra. And it might just be me who thinks that, but now most women are just out here winging it. So I saw this really helpful analogy saying to picture your cycle as the seasons of the year. You've got winter, spring, summer, and autumn, but you go through all of them every single month. Or, as the studies have shown, around 21 to 35 days, which averages at 28 days. Each season is gonna affect how you feel. It's gonna affect your energy, your mood, and even your cravings. So let's start with day 1, your period. This is where your cycle begins in the menstrual phase or winter phase. Your body is shedding the lining of your uterus, which is why you're bleeding. And it is straight up not fun. Hormones like estrogen and progesterone are gonna be at their lowest, which is why you'll likely be feeling more tired than usual, probably moody, you might experience bloating, cramps, and just feel meh. Day 1 of your cycle is literally like your body's reset button, and it's basically your body's way of saying, let's rest and reset. Even though you might feel like motivation is literally on the floor, get to the gym. Because a lot of studies have shown that if you get up and get moving, whether that's just a light walk, do some yoga, whatever you want, if you just do something, that can actually really help with things like cramps and just like your overall energy levels and mood as well. So don't let your lack of motivation put you off in this stage. But I have some fantastic news for you, because thankfully this only lasts about 3 days. After that, things start to pick up a bit and we move into spring, aka the follicular phase. From around day 6 to 14, estrogen levels start to pick up, your mood starts to get better, you've got more energy, and you're starting to feel more like yourself again. You might also feel more creative, more sociable, and just able to take on more challenges. Ready to take on what life throws at you. This is also where your body's starting to prepare an egg. After spring, obviously we have summer, which happens around day 14, which is ovulation. This is where you'll likely feel your peak energy, peak strength, and let's be honest, peak rizz. This is literally your body's best time to A, hit PRs in the gym, or B, make a baby. Whichever you want. I mean, you could do both. But this is your time to literally give it everything you've got in the gym. Go hit those PRs, go sprint, go do those intervals, go do a high rocks, whatever you want to do. You might be feeling more confident, more outgoing. You'll literally be glowing from the inside out. And you'll know because you'll feel like the hottest girl in the room. This is where you're really feeling yourself and feeling your most unstoppable. And yet, most of these changes come down to your hormones. So this is when estrogen is at its highest, testosterone is also on the scene, and luteinizing hormone spikes to trigger ovulation. Just a point on testosterone. I know so many women think that it's a male-only hormone, but that is completely false. Testosterone is very much present and important in both females and males. And without it, the whole cycle wouldn't go as we want it to go. So ovulation is your time to go all in towards your goals, because you'll likely be feeling most motivated and just ready to give it your all. I mean, compared to day 1 of your cycle where your energy's low, you're literally bleeding, motivation is probably not going to be there. Next, we have the luteal phase, or your body's inner autumn. This phase usually lasts from around day 15 to 28, and it's where progesterone levels rise, estrogen dips, so sadly your energy and your mood is likely going to dip as well. You might start feeling a little more cozy, maybe a little bit more moody, maybe a little bit more snacky. And this is also where PMS symptoms can start to hit, so premenstrual syndrome symptoms. It's super important to note that every woman's body is different and not everyone's cycle length will be the same, not everyone will experience the same changes in mood or cravings or anything like that at all. But in this phase especially, you might experience bloating, acne, fatigue, or increased cravings. Your body's kind of like, let's just slow down and chill for a bit. A lot of women will also notice their social battery draining, and it can be really hard to adjust to this change because your hormones are literally going in waves. So it can be really helpful to, number one, learn to anticipate that wave, which is where tracking apps can be really helpful. And number two, learn to ride that wave so you're working with your body, not against it. So the luteal phase is tough, and it kind of sounds like we're ending on a bit of a low note, but at the end of the luteal phase, that's when you hit that restart button and you go into your next cycle, starting with your period. And then it all repeats again. I even read somewhere that most women experience about 400 periods in their lifetime, which is a lot. So don't be too hard on yourself. So to recap, winter is your period, spring is your follicular fresh energy, summer is your ovulation glow up, and autumn is your luteal slowdown phase. Each phase has its own vibe, so understanding that can help you work with your body rather than against it. Stay with me because now we're going to chat about how these phases can affect your training, nutrition, and whether cycle syncing can actually help you get next level gains. Let's go. One of the biggest struggles that a lot of women face in their fitness journey, especially if their goal is to gain weight or lose weight, is the fact that unlike men, your weight is naturally just going to fluctuate throughout the month anyway, so it can be a lot harder, so much harder to really figure out if you're actually making progress. A lot of the time it can be just as much of a mental battle as it can a physical one, because say you had a certain craving and you ate more of a certain food than you usually would. Then you wake up bloated the next day and suddenly you think you've gained a whole load of fat and lost all your progress entirely. If you're not in tune with your cycle, then things like that can start to get in your head and play into behaviors like restricting, over exercising, and that's what's actually going to hold you back, and it's going to keep you feeling frustrated because you're putting in all the work but you still don't know why you're not seeing the results that you want. If you do want more support navigating any of this on your fitness journey, by the way, then this is exactly the kind of thing that I coach my one-to-one clients through. So if you think that'd be helpful, along with a training and nutrition plan tailored completely to you and your body, then I'll put the link to apply in the description. We'll come back to cravings and how your cycle affects your metabolism in a second, but first let's talk about your training performance. I mean, I love the ideas on TikTok just as much as the next girl of doing Pilates in your luteal phase, going for a walk on your period, but what does the research actually say about training in each phase? Now, most influencers you see talking about cycle syncing are actually pretty vague about what we're actually optimizing for. Like, are we cycling our Are we cycling our cycles? Are we syncing our cycles to improve mood, increase muscle gains, strength gains, endurance? What are we actually optimizing for? Currently, that is very unclear in every single video I've seen. But on this channel, we love the muscle and the strength gains, so we're going to be honing in on that. This 2020 systematic review on menstrual cycle effects on exercise performance found that most studies showed trivial or no difference in strength, endurance, or power across the menstrual phases. Due to the trivial effect size, the large between study variation, and the number of poor quality studies included in the review, general guidelines on exercise performance across the menstrual cycle cannot be formed. Rather, it is recommended that a personalized approach should be taken based on each individual's response to exercise performance across the menstrual cycle. Now, this is a very common theme that pops up in so many studies because cycle length between women can vary from around 21 to 35 days, but cycle length within the same woman, like one woman, can vary within 8 days. And the length of each phase of the cycle can also vary within the same woman. So it's very complicated, and from the meta-analysis, it's pretty clear that there's not a one-size-fits-all guideline. So if we take that and then look at all the videos we're seeing on TikTok of people just telling you, do Pilates in your luteal phase, that is very likely not going to be appropriate for every single woman because every single woman is so different. There is really no one size fits all. But when it comes to training for strength or muscle growth specifically, the data is a bit more grey. One study suggested that training more frequently in the follicular phase could lead to improvements in strength and muscle mass, but the sample size was really small and it varied between individuals, so as a one-off I wouldn't just take the information from that study and then apply it thinking that it was the be-all end-all. So as of what we know currently, there might be a small advantage in lifting more in the first half of your cycle, but really don't stress about it because what matters a lot more is staying consistent over time. Let's switch gears a bit to nutrition and chat a bit about how cravings and energy intake vary throughout your cycle. First of all, this 2007 systematic review found that 27 out of the 37 groups ate significantly more in the luteal phase, up to 500 extra calories per day. And cravings for sweet and comfort foods also spiked just before periods. Then I also found another study where women reported experiencing more chocolate and sweet cravings during the luteal phase as well. Does anyone relate? This study even mentions that women's perception of sweetness intensifies during this phase as well, which is crazy. So taking all the main findings of those studies as more of a real life application, you may well feel more cravings or feel hungrier before your period. It's hormonal. So anticipate your cravings, have options ready that align with your goals. If they don't come, fine. But if they do, also don't beat yourself up if you have a sweet treat. A chocolate bar every now and then is not going to mess up your entire fitness journey. You could eat chocolate every single day and still make progress. So don't get in your head about it. It's literally your hormones doing their thing. Okay, but does your cycle affect your metabolism? Because sometimes cravings can be an indicator of that. A 2020 meta-analysis also suggested that there is some evidence to suggest that your resting metabolic rate increases by around 90 to 280 calories per day during your luteal phase. Which kind of makes sense because your body's telling you that you're craving a certain food, so it's trying to get you to eat to make up for that increased calorie demand because your resting metabolic rate has increased. However, results from the studies included in the meta-analysis varied and showed individual response differences. So some people might not see much of an increase in metabolic rate, other people might see a big difference in metabolic rate. Taking that into account, you might burn more calories pre-period, so that extra hunger is not just in your head, it is backed up by data, but it will vary from person to person. But what about bloating and those fluctuations in your weight? Because let's be real, it can be so frustrating and confusing if you've been sticking to your diet every single day and your weight's going in the direction that you want, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere you've gained 3 kg. And that's not even an exaggeration because some women do hold on to a lot more water during their period than others, and that is typically what leads to that increase in weight on the scale. Although of course it will vary between women, most women experience an increase in weight and bloating around menstruation, and then your weight's typically lowest around ovulation. So it's really important that you stop letting fluctuations in scale weight mess with your mindset, because water retention is real and normal, so make sure you're using multiple methods to track your progress, so things like progress photos, measurements, and don't place so much emphasis on the scale weight. But why does one workout feel 10 times harder the next week, even though the weights are the exact same? Well, this study concluded that women perceived workouts as harder and less enjoyable during their luteal phase. However, that was not always a direct indicator of their performance, and results varied massively between individuals. There's really not conclusive evidence to say that you should be feeling really weak in your luteal phase and then super strong in ovulation and things like that. What's more important is that you're listening to your body and doing what you feel able to do. If you feel able to push hard, push hard. Hit those PRs in your luteal phase if you feel up to it, but if not, also remember that that is completely okay. There is absolutely no shame in honoring your energy levels. So if you do feel completely drained and not able to push as hard in the gym, dial it down a bit, take a rest day if you need to. That is going to allow your body to recover properly, and then you're more likely to be able to push a bit harder next time you go in the gym. So does cycle syncing actually help you build more muscle or get stronger faster? Well, there have only really been 3 main studies. Yeah, so these studies were testing the effects of resistance training when timed with the menstrual phases. One study showed an increase in strength and hypertrophy during the follicular phase. One study showed strength gains only and no muscle gains. And the third study showed no change at all. Oh, and one of these studies only had 7 test subjects. So the evidence is pretty inconclusive that cycle syncing is actually beneficial for increasing muscle growth or strength at all, and a 2021 analysis of 78 studies and 1,200 subjects concluded the effect size are so small they're practically meaningless. So taking everything we've learned so far, here's the truth. Your body is unique. There's way too much variation between individuals and just within yourself to prescribe cookie cutter cycle syncing rules. So when the girls in the TikTok videos tell you to do this workout on a certain day of the week, you might want to take it with a pinch of salt. So the actionable step I want you to take away from this video is learn your own patterns. Use a tracking app and take note of how you feel during your workouts and meals from week to week. How motivated are you? What's your energy levels doing? If you find that cycle syncing makes you feel more in control, then amazing, go for it. But personally, I don't think there's nearly enough evidence to go prescribing certain routines to the general population, like so many of the scientists in these studies have actually said. So listen to your body, learn what it's trying to tell you, and look out for the patterns, because then you're going to be able to anticipate those lower mood seasons, and you won't be freaking out as much in the gym when you can't lift as heavy as usual. It's kind of like becoming your own scientist. So I hope this video gave you some clarity and you found it helpful. If you have any questions at all, just drop them in the comments, and also topics you want me to cover in future episodes of our Strong Girl series. This series is all about empowering you with the tools you need to tackle your health and fitness like the strong girl you are. I'm gonna do an episode for my girlies who've lost their period and are trying to get it back. And yeah, just give me any other suggestions that you want me to cover because I love you guys so much. And make sure you check out this video next because I think you'll find it really helpful on your fitness journey. See you there!